let's start. So what in the open source term? So let me first tell you about the flow of the session. What will it be? So first we will encounter all the WH questions that are what, why, and when about open source. Then we will see what all programs are there for the open source, and then we will have a look on how to contribute in the open source, and then I will be sharing my GSoC experience, and lastly we will be having a hands-on workshop for Git and GitHub, and also you will be assigned some assessment to check what have you grasped from this session. Source term came from the term open source software. So what the name suggests that the software which has its code publicly open to all is called an open source software, right? So we can also see what code they have written, how they have implemented the function, how the task has been done. So we can see all the code base of that, and also we can modify that code base according to our own purpose. All right. So the open source emerged in the late 1960s and in the 50s, where the internet has just begun. The main goal was to improve the efficiency of all the code of all the software that were going on at that time. They call all the members which were voluntarily wanting to work on the code, and they work together, seeing each other code, and that's the way how all this got started, right? So let's see why should we do open source. All right, so we will talk about on these points. तो सबसे पहले आता है peer review. So what the peer review means? If you are coding a block of code and ऐसा भी मुमकिन है कि वहाँ पे बहुत सारे bugs रह गए, काफी जगह आपने optimum कोड नहीं लिखा, तो जो भी आपकी कम्युनिटी होगी कोडर्स की, what they will do, they will review your code and और जो भी उसमें कमियां होगी, जो भी खामियां होगी, वो उन सबको रिव्यू आपको बोलेंगे कि आप इसे अच्छे से ऐसे लिख सकते हैं, आप इस फंक्शन को और ऑप्टिमाइज लिख सकते हैं ऐसा. So these are all the benefits of the peer review. So what due to this, what happens? The code which you have written becomes more modular and more optimum, right? And the second point is transparency. So there is, if the code base is transparent, anyone can see what are the issues in this code base. So जो भी हमारी कम्युनिटी होगी वो हमारे कोड बेस में हमारे जो भी इश्यूज होंगे वो हाईलाइट करेंगी कि दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम विद योर कोड बेस, and they will help to figure it out, sort it out. And also transparency ensures the privacy and all the, like, कोई ऐसा कोड ना लिख दे जिससे आपकी प्राइवेट डिटेल्स फैच हो रही हो, या कुछ आपका डेटाबेस में आपकी प्राइवेट इंफॉर्मेशन स्टोर हो रही हो जो सेंसिटिव हो. So the transparency is helps to ensure all the privacy terms and the security terms for the software, right? And the third point is reliability. So what reliability is that the code, the particular code, वो काफी लोग लिखते हैं. Like जो आपने शुरू किया, like you have started a project, right, for example, and then you have written a code in that, right? अब ऐसा नहीं है जरूरी कि आप ही उस कोड को आगे लिखोगे या आगे मेंटेन करोगे या उसे और ऑप्टिमम करोगे. There are people in the community which will voluntarily work on your code, make it more optimum, make it more reliable, so that कहीं पे भी उसकी कोई खामियां नहीं रहेगी, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं रहेगी. Your code will be best and it will bug free, right? So that's why the open source softwares and the source code are more reliable, because they might be some issues, there might be some bugs, but they are tackled more oftenly, and they are encountered very quickly rather than a closed source software, right? So the fourth point is of flexibility. So yeah, the flexibility also came when I explained the reliability. Like you are the owner of the code, ठीक है. अब आपको किसी और प्रोजेक्ट पे काम करना है या अभी आप बिजी हो, आप अपने कोड को आगे बढ़ा नहीं पाते, अपने प्रोजेक्ट को वहीं रुक जाता है. तो ऐसा नहीं होता ओपन सोर्स में. अगर आपका प्रोजेक्ट इज ओपन सोर्स, देन the project does not stays there. They evolve continuously. Someone would like to add some feature in that. Someone will do a proposal to improve your project. So that stays this flexibility. Okay, and lower in cost. So this particular thing is more ये कॉर्पोरेट मतलब कंपनीज के लिए ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट रहती है लोअर कोस्ट, इसलिए ताकि जैसे उसका सोर्स कोड ओपन है तो मतलब वो फ्री है, कोई भी यूज़ कर सकता है ना. तो वो ओपन सोर्स है तो उसमें कंट्रीब्यूटर्स भी बहुत होंगे, राइट. तो हम एज अ यूज़र वी डोंट पे फॉर द कोस्ट. हम वो सोर्स कोड के लिए हम पे नहीं करते, हम पे करते हैं सिर्फ सपोर्ट के लिए. कोई भी हम प्रॉब्लम फॉर द ट्रबल शूटिंग एंड तो हमारा काफ़ी कॉस्ट रिड्यूस हो जाता है उस सॉफ्टवेयर का अगर वो ओपन सोर्स है, ठीक है ना, राइट. एंड नो वेंडर लॉक इन. अब ये पार्ट ऐसा है, अगर हम कस्टमर है, ठीक है, हमें कोई सॉफ्टवेयर चाहिए. अब वो सॉफ्टवेयर जो हमें प्रोवाइड कर रहा है, जो वेंडर हमें प्रोवाइड कर रहा है, अब उसमें कौन सा बग डाला है, क्या बग डाला है, वो हमें टाइम पर दे रहा है नहीं दे रहा सॉफ्टवेयर तैयार करके, राइट. एंड और हमारा अगर हमने प्रोजेक्ट उस वेंडर को दिया है तो अब वही वेंडर हमारा कंप्लीट करके देगा, क्योंकि उसका सोर्स कोड तो हमारे पास है नहीं, तो हम उस पर आगे काम भी नहीं कर सकते. So we are stuck with that vendor, right? We can't even complete our project. We can't even use our own project if the vendor refuses to complete it or or any problem occurs, right? So there is no vendor lock-in situation in the open source software, right? And the last point is open collaboration. Yeah, you work with a lot of people on the same project, right? And you help each other. आप एक दूसरे को समझा सकते हो. लाइक एक पूरा कोड बेस है, वो बहुत बड़ा होता है, राइट. तो उसमें आपको कोई पार्ट समझ नहीं आ रहा, तो आप जो वहाँ पे पहले से काम कर रहा है, जो पहले से वहाँ पे कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहा है, वो ही कैन हेल्प यू फिगरिंग आउट व्हाट इट इज, राइट. So that's also the open collaboration. You work with a lot of people. They review your code, so you can also learn how to code in a better way, right? So that's the open collaboration. Let's move to our next part. So what are the perks of open source? Perks means what are the benefits that you get on the personal level, right? So the first part is networking. You come across a lot of people having a broad level of knowledge, and ऐसे लोगों को हम मतलब रियल लाइफ में बहुत कम मिल पाते, राइट. तो ओपन सोर्स ऐसा ओशन है जहाँ पे आप हजारों लोगों को मिल सकते हो, अपना नेटवर्किंग बढ़ा सकते हो. या so the networking is important whenever even in the future, whenever you start applying for the off campus, so the networking play a role in that, right. And obviously आप अगर knowledgeable persons के साथ रहोगे, so you will also be like them. So there also is one code something, you are the average of the 6 people you are spending time with them. So obviously अगर आप अच्छे लोगों के साथ रहोगे तो we can imagine what will be our level, right? And the second point is communication skills, right? My communication skills, मैं अपनी personal एक बात बताता हूँ. Like I was very afraid speaking in front of people, and even my English was not that good. So yeah, when in the GSoC period only, I came across, that's for the later part, but my communication skill increased in the GSoC period, and yeah, that's the point. And the next part is the learning from the community. So when you learn from the community, there's एक उत्साह होता है, एक मजा आता है लोगों के साथ पढ़ने का, राइट? अब ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन में आप देख रहे हो, घर पे अकेले इतना मन नहीं लगता मन ऐसा पढ़ने में. तो आप कम्युनिटी के साथ पढ़ते हो तो आप फास्ट लर्न करते हो और बहुत अच्छे से कर पाते हो, ठीक है? और the soul of the open source is obligation to give back, right? अब आपकी कम्युनिटी ने आपके लिए इतना किया होगा, आपको इतना सब सिखाया होगा, right? So you will also feel obligate to give the community back what you have received from the community, right? You will also help the freshers, the newbie, to learn new things, and what you will share your experience, जो भी आप सीखोगे in the open source. And this point is the soul of the open source, obligation to give back. All right. And the fifth point is clean, and you will be able to write a clean and modular code. Even you will save a lot of reviews, and you will definitely learn writing good code, right? And this is also beneficial at your personal level, the opportunities you receive. So the GSoC tag, it is very useful in all the ways you can consider. So it opens a lot of gates of opportunities, right? You can even try for off-campus, and it opens a lot of gates. All right. And definitely it's fun to contribute in open source. It's very fun. Even today, after this workshop, you will do an assessment, and you will get a feel about how it to contribute in an organization, right? And you yourself can give the feedback on there and let me know how was it for you. All right, so let's move forward. So when open source, right now you can just start now. Okay, there's no waiting time. You don't have to wait to एक लेवल तक पहुंचने के लिए. You don't have to wait that till point. आप ऐसा जरूरी नहीं कि आप कुछ बहुत अच्छा प्रोजेक्ट सीख लो, आप पूरा टेक स्टैक में घुस जाओ, पूरा अच्छे से कर लो. That is not required for open source contribution, right? You can start with the basics. You just need to have basic knowledge of whatever you are doing in any framework. That's also for the next part. What all are the programs in the open source? So these are the programs. Not only these are programs, there are a lot more programs. We just need to find out there. So I highlighted here the most famous one, right? The well-known Google Summer of Code. It usually it every year ये हर साल मई में शुरू होता है, ऑलराइट, और अगस्त में एंड होता है. पर इसकी तैयारी के लिए आपको एटलीस्ट जैन से उठ जाना चाहिए. जैन इज द लास्ट deadline. You should start working upon the GSoC project, right? I will discuss on this in detail later on. And the next program is Outreach. The Outreach also happens once per year for our Indian students. and it is in summers, right? The MLS fellowship is, I think, thrice per week, per year. It happens in 3 batches: autumn, uh, spring, spring, and fall. Like there are 3 seasons there. And season of docs is parallelly along with Google Summer of Code. Season of docs is also there. It is also done by Google. In this, this is the only open, I according to my knowledge, this is the only open source program जहाँ पे आपको कोड नहीं लिखना होता, राइट? अब इतना बड़ा बड़ा कोड बेस होता है, तो आपको उस कोड बेस को मेंटेन करने के लिए आपको डॉक्यूमेंटेशन भी अच्छा चाहिए, ताकि आपने जो वर्क किया या जो भी कोई फंक्शन है वो कैसे वर्क करता है, उसका डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, लाइक आप जहाँ से उससे रेफर करके समझ पाओ कि ये कोड बेस करता क्या है, ये मतलब कैसे होता है, right? So documentation is also important. So the Google has started a separate program only of season of docs. So this is also a good one if you are more interested in technical writing and less in the coding part. Okay, this LFN mentorship program is of Linux Foundation. They have multiple programs going up the whole year. You can apply whenever you want to. Also, but you also go through what are the specifications for that project and see if and if you are really interested, you can pursue all the technical stuff that is required for this. And yeah, and season of KD is also an open source program that also happens in summers. All right, and these two are they are not, I will say, a program, they are more like competitions. So Hacktoberfest is well known. It happens every year in the month of October. So all you need to do is you make 4 pull requests, right? If you're not आप नहीं जानते कि pull request क्या होता है, then it's okay, we will explain it to you. So you have to do 4 to 5 contributions in Hacktoberfest, and you will receive swag stickers and t-shirt and all. So it is quite a good one to start with. I also started my open source journey with the Hacktoberfest only. So it is a good program. Right. Then also there is a Girl Script Summer of Code. In that too you have to do contributions, and yeah. So all these are programs which are well known, and also there are more programs. I will share a link to that. Okay, right. Then let's move forward. So how to contribute? Just 3 steps: learn tech stack and Git. Simple one. You have to just know a little bit basic about anything you are interested in. Like if you are interested in front end, learn HTML, CSS, any framework like Angular, Vue. And if you are interested in the backend technologies, learn Node.js, Node, even Django. If you are into app development, then learn React Native and all. So just learn the basic one, create some projects, basics one from the video or YouTube video or anything, and just dive into the world of open source, right? And also remember to learn the Git, the handy tool required in every step to contribute. Okay. Yeah, and then the second step is to find organization. All right. This part is a little tricky one because there are a lot of organizations and you can't really decide on which organization to contribute, right? So yeah, you have to struggle in this a little bit, but once you find your organization, you will be happy with that and you will love to contribute in it. All right. And the last one is to solve the issues. And whenever you find an organization, and these organizations are usually hosted on the GitHub, GitLab, and Gitbucket. All right. So you can find the repositories on this platform, and from there you can also, there is a issue tab in the repository where all the issues in their code bases are listed down. And if you are a newbie, you can search for the good first issues or the newcomers issues. Alright, there are specific tags in that. We will be showing you in the Git in the hands-on. Okay, and yeah, once you solve the issues, you can create a merge request or pull request. And after finding the organization, there is also one part where you have to set up all the इसका पूरा कोड बेस आपको अपने लोकल सिस्टम पे सेटअप करना रहता है. लाइक इफ दे आर यूजिंग रूबी, देन यू हैव टू सेट अप दैट एंड ऑल. तो उसकी भी contributing.md करके एक फाइल रहती है उनकी रेपोजिटरी पे, जहाँ पे पूरी गाइडलाइंस रहती है आपको कैसे कंट्रीब्यूट करना है. एंड इन द रीडमी दे प्रोवाइड ऑल द डिटेल्स हाउ टू सेट अप the environment on your local system, right? And after that you are good to go to solve all the issues. So yeah, my GSoC experience. So I was selected for the V field, which was an sub organization under Koala, right? So I will talk a little bit about V field. So it is an NGO which works on the ecosystem. Like we want to preserve our ecosystem in a good way, so that we have our what we say, हमारा sustainable environment we can maintain on it, right? So the project here was to create a tool which provides the automation notification and the notification of the task which are required to do for the market gardening, right? So market gardening is like we don't the plow, हम उसके लिए we don't plow the farms, we just make the beds, and in that the beds of the compost, and we sow our plants into that, right? So that's basic of market gardening. So here I was assigned to create a tool. So the main aim, the main purpose for this project was, in this era सबके पास बड़ी acres of जमीन नहीं होती, right? Not everyone has too much land to do farming, right? So there is an alternative called micro farming, where there are several models to do farming, right? In that one is market gardening. All right. So the market gardening can be done in a small space, like you have a field of 10 cross 5 meter. You can do that in. So the main aim was to make anyone a market gardener with minimum or no experience of gardening, with some space, so that he just need to give the details of his the farm dimensions, and then all the calculation part, like how much size of the bed did you need to make, and that will be created by the application. All right. So that was the part. So how I started my GSoC, right? So सबसे पहले तो मतलब हैक्टोबरफेस्ट में ओपन सोर्स के साथ हम ओपन सोर्स को जाना था, ठीक है. और फिर धीरे धीरे like then I felt the net that I don't have enough knowledge of the backend and stuff, so I deep dive in the backend technologies. I prefer Django because I also did Python. So in that, after that, in the month of February and in the end of March, I thought I should at least try to make proposal for this year, even if I'm getting selected or not. Let's just try to at least submit a proposal, right? So I started a bit late, but I will not recommend that, because even a lot of people got rejections, right? So what I will prefer to start very early, like in the month of December only. You must at least filter out which organization would you like to contribute in, right? And from the January, you can start finding the projects, even contributing to the projects. So the GSoC is not like we have to start contributing or making proposal when the GSoC is announced or anything like that. You can contribute it whole year, right? That's the soul of open source. You can contribute anywhere. You don't need a program to work on open source, right? So you can start in January. You go through all the, yeah, but I will recommend also to at least learn what tech stack are used in the organization that you are planning to apply, right? Till December you can just learn the basics one, and then from January you can start contributing to the organizations, right? You can solve the newcomer issues, good post issues. You can talk to their mentors, the admin org. They will guide to you for the newcomers guidelines, and yeah, you can start then onwards also. And even if you are in, और अगर आप मतलब नहीं कर पाते जनवरी से स्टार्ट या दिसंबर से स्टार्ट, then don't lose hope. मैंने भी काफी लेट चालू किया था, बट मतलब एटलीस्ट ट्राई करना कि आप प्रपोजल सबमिट कर पाओ, बिकॉज इफ यू सबमिट अ प्रपोजल देन देयर आर चांसेस that 50% that you will get selected, right? If you are not submitting, then the 100% is that you are not going to be selected, right? So at least submit the proposal, all right? And also that will help for the next year, like what is the whole process of the GSoC. You will go through it, and also if you are not selected this year, you can try the next year more efficiently, all right? So yeah, that was all the application process. And then when I got finally selected, I contacted with the mentors. Then we held a meet, and then we organized how all the things have to be done. We chose the GitLab platform for our project, all right? And then we have created the milestones for per week, and we were able to complete the milestones, right? And that's the process which is specific to the organization, so that might not be for all. So yeah, that was the process till Google Summer of Code also. And also I would like to call Gaurav. Also, he can give some more insights on the application process.
Okay, so Prashant was talking about selecting an organization for for Google Summer of Code, right? And the point is, right, you can get the list of organizations that participated in Google Summer of Code this year. Okay, and after that you can actually filter out some stuffs based on your interest in which you want to contribute, right? So for example, suppose for me, if I was a backend developer, or I'm interested in machine learning, right? So I'll select a field that is related to that. And now let me tell you that machine learning is basically used a lot in science and medicine, right? So they are used to build some tools or something. Okay, and apart from it, I can select something from data and databases, right? So like you can filter out organizations in that manner. Apart from it, you can also make a list of organizations. Like you can go through each one of them, click on one, you will get to know the technologies that they are using, suppose JavaScript, Java, web services, Python, right? And if you feel you know something out of it, you can try out try searching for different projects and all. Okay, so that's one of the way you can get started with selecting a list of 10 to 20 organizations in which you want to contribute. Okay, After you have shortlisted 10 to 20 organizations in which you might be able to contribute, what you need to do is you need to go through each one's repositories, right? So suppose like for me, I was also trying for Google Summer of Code last year, and I basically was a bit late when I started in March when GSoC was already announced. So suppose I made a list of 20 organizations where there were projects related to deep learning, machine learning, or even for the backend side, right? So I made a list of 20 organizations. You can save that list as a, as a book. You can bookmark it or something, okay, or save the link of it, and then you go through each organization and try to check like which organizations is having currently how many active participants are over there. So suppose for example, I applied in DBpedia. It was one of the organizations where I applied. So like I open it, I see there is RDF, there is Python, right? And I know Python and JavaScript. Okay, so after that you can go and visit the list of projects they had. Okay, so suppose this was project for this year, right? So I applied over here towards neural extraction framework, and these were the projects they had. Okay, so after visiting this part, you can probably try and view the projects they have, or if you are like while you will be in that stage when you are still looking for the ideas, you might want to
Yes, sir.
okay, so like what happens is when you will start contributing, suppose in January or February, okay. So what happens is mentors of different projects, they will either create an issue in their GitHub repository, or they will have this kind of forums, right, where there will be where they will be listing down their ideas, right, GSoC 2021 ideas. So for next year, they might start this process in January, because they also need to shortlist the projects that will be open for contributions. Okay, because an organization has some limitations on it, and even they are selected on the basis of how many active contributors they have and all. So there are criteria on selecting which organization will be a part of Google Summer of Code this year. Okay, so like that's why you need to have a few options, right? You can't just rely on one particular organization, because maybe in month of Feb, the organization decides that it has too few number of mentors and they don't want to be a part of it. So suppose for me, it was towards neural extraction framework, GSoC 2021, right? And you see this post was made on February 20, right? So you go through the description part, and you go through this you know goal materials and all that they provide, the impact it has, and the warm up task, right? So the point is, you might first want to take a look at the description of the project, and then you may want to decide whether you will be able to do something on it or not. Because many projects might sound like, okay, it is easy, but when you start visiting it, you might find the complications that are there. Okay, for example, so we'll go through the descriptions and all. Okay, and this were the warm-up tasks, right? So apart from this warm-up task, you also need to go to the repository that is there, and then you might want to start talking to the mentor, right? So I was basically the first one to actually contact the mentor over here, and we had a few discussions, and after that you need to actually do some warm-up task and get the feedback from the mentor itself, right? So, and if you have any doubts, you actually want to you might want to clarify it with him before moving ahead. Okay, because that's something that makes him feel that, okay, you are interested actually, right? And like after, if you are late a bit, okay, suppose if you have not started uh, contributing to the organizations a bit earlier and all, so you might feel like left out, because you see, after when March starts now, a lot of people will also will try to get accepted for Google Summer of Code, right? Because it pays you $1,500 for India, and in other countries they even pay more than that based on some things they have, right? And after that, so at after one point they will start considering everyone who is applying for it. So you might want to actually uh, be over there a bit earlier than others, right? So this was the point where others started getting in. And yeah, and after that, like in the month of close to April, I think 13th April was the deadline when you have to submit the final proposal on Google Summer of Code's website, right? So by that time, you need to actually make a few commits on their website, like on their organization. Okay, you might want to list down those contributions on your proposal, and you want to make a good proposal and ask your mentor for review before finally submitting it, right? So actually, like on March 28th, the mentor which I had, he shared his Google ID, Gmail ID and all, and he asked us to submit a draft of our proposal to him. And he actually made a lot of comments over there. And I think even Prashant's mentor made a lot of comments, and like they are going to make a few comments on your proposal, and you will need to change it, right? And proposal is something that takes time for you if you are not very much into it. So suppose for me, what happened was actually this person, okay, Zero Elivert, whoever it is, actually he is a PhD student, and he had a lot of context on this whole project, right? So till this point I was the most active person, but this person came in a lot late, right? You can see he jumped in on the project on April 6th, right? And on April 9th, he sends the proposal to the mentor that I have sent the proposal, please check. So in just 2 days, he was able to think of the solution and write a proposal, right? Whereas this project is based on RDF triples, and to solve the problem, you might need to have some context on semantic web and everything. So the point is, a person needs to be fast and good enough if he wants to be there. You can't just get comfortable after a point thinking that there won't be any competition over there. And people do start early or do start late, but the only thing that matters over there would be how good your proposal is there, how much have you contributed to the organization. But yeah, so like you get the point about how you have to contact your mentor and all, and how good it would be if you start contributing early to the organizations you want to contribute, right? It will be great if someone from the participants can confirm that. But yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and okay, basically, I don't think you will get someone sharing the proposal for the project, but actually, this is the format of the proposal is something you will get from your mentor itself, and it varies from organization to organization, and it's actually a large piece of 10 to 12 pages of document where you need to write everything about how you are going to basically write work on that project. What are your technical skills, how well have you been able to understand the problem, right? Okay, what research and have you been doing till so far? Okay, so suppose it starts from the project, right? So you want to describe the whole project in your own word. Then you go through the basic ideology or findings or whatever you want to share over here. So mine was a research based NLP project, right? So I had to share the links of the research paper I went through. Okay, and after that you might want to share the approach which you are going to follow. Okay, so what will be your solution to the problem statement they have mentioned? That's the thing you have to write, and apart from it you also need to add your possible improvements. So sometimes the problem statements which they share are not that clearly mentioning the problem statements. Mentioning the problems software faces, and sometimes it needs you to innovate something out of it. And it's very much beneficial if you are able to do that, because most of the proposals for that project will only contain the solutions that the student can offer to the problems mentioned over there. But if you are able to understand that project properly, and you want to add something from your side, that will clearly show your interest into the project, and it will be a good point, right? And after that, you also need to write the timeline in which you are gonna work on it, right? Because it's a 3-month thing, and you need to plan actually each week what you will be delivering to them, and when do you want them to judge you, right? You are being assessed twice, right? There are two assessments. There were two assessments this year, and when last year GSoC used to offer $3,000 for Indians, and that was because they expected more work, right? Last year it was around 450 hours of work for 3 months, and this time they have reduced it to exactly half of it, right? So around 225 or 175 hours. I'm not sure exactly, but that's how. So according to that, you need to create a timeline and everything, and after that, you will be like adding the technical skills about yourself. You will be adding the open source projects and all, the PRs where you have contributed, okay, the repositories, and like suppose this was for my research based project, so that's why I had to add research and all. And if you have any prior GSoC contribution experience, these are the things you basically add into a proposal. So it is good to if you can get started with it earlier. And the point is actually, in the end of your third year, you will be probably doing some kind of internship, corporate internship, right? And at that point, you will be more focused on getting a placement or offer or something, instead of doing something open source, right? Because suppose if you are, even if you are selected for Google Summer of Code, it won't be guarantee you a placement offer for next year, even if you are able to complete it, right? So that's the thing, and that's why most of people who are in pre-final year at SVNIT, and who are good developers, they won't prefer going over for a Google Summer of Code thing, right? So I feel, and most of the seniors I've met felt that the sophomore year, which in which you are there currently, is a good time to explore the open source domain, because this is the point when you're learning. And honestly, when you are working with a lot of people, and they are reviewing the code you wrote, you will learn a lot of things. I mean, you might have heard of object oriented programming, encapsulation, abstraction, expressing your intent, writing a dry piece of code, that is do not repeat yourself, those kind of things. But have you ever, like, whether you are writing a code for competitive programming, or writing a piece of code for hackathon or something, you might never use those kind of principles over there, because no one is gonna see the code you wrote, right? So basically, the code which we write in a personal project is basically shit when you look at it at corporate level. And it won't be very much helpful if someone from a good company, even, like, there are companies which will focus on you based on your development profile, and they will want to visit your repository or something before hiring you, right? And even if you Prashant shared about MLH fellowship, right? So in MLH fellowship, you are supposed to share the link of one repository in which you think lies the best piece of code you have ever written. And that second round, the technical interview round for that MLH fellowship, includes you sharing your screen, and explaining the code you wrote to the interviewer, right, at MLH. And this is a trend which is being followed by few other companies as well. When I interviewed for Gojek, even I had to share my screen and explain the problem which I faced in one of my personal projects, right? So you might have to do that, and at that point, you don't want your code to look shit, right? Actually, and that's a good reason to contribute to open source, and learn something out of it, rather than keeping your code in a private repository, or using GitHub just to push your code and share it with your friends, right? Because most of us have 70-80 repos, and that's not even close to the organizations you might have ever contributed to, right? So it would be a good thing. And I think now Shlok can continue with the hands-on part, right?
Hello everyone.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
have you learned about this open source from Prashant and Gaurav? So, we'll now do a little hands-on with Git and GitHub, which are the tools we which are mainly used for open source projects. So, for open source hands-on, we'll go through this repo which we have created in ACM SVNIT organization. So we this repo contains a index.html file, and we have to add our contribution to the this index.html file. So after every contribution, you'll get your name here after we merge your pull request. So for the first thing, we have to start by forking this project to your account. So what is basically a fork? Fork is basically a copy of repository, and forking a repository allows you to freely experiment with the changes without affecting the original project. So like if I made the change in index.html, but sometimes my change it can break the other code in the other files. So first I'll experiment with the changes in my forked repo, and then I'll push the changes for them to merge into the main repo. So that if there are any errors, which it can be caught, and we can also test the changes we have made. So to fork the repo, first go to this link which is given, which will be given in the chat. So then here you can see about fork button. After clicking this, you should select your which account you want to fork. So this is my account. So it has now created a fork to my account, and see like here it is written matrix01/kickstart open source. So this repository is now in my account, and here it is written that forked from ACM organization. Okay, so since we have forked, we now have to create a issue about what changes we are going to make, or is there any current issue. So in this we are going to add our contribution, that is like adding adding a simple block of code which has our name and admission number. So in issue, I'll create a new issue. So this is a basic template of the issue. So you guys have to fill this, and mm, uh, give it the title, add contribution for V19 EC. Here comes your roll number. So uh, this creates your issue, and it will be appear in issues tab, like here, add contribution for U19 EC 026. So now you have created your issue, and now you will have to make changes to the code. So we'll clone the repo we forked to our local machine. So for that, we will use the command git clone, which clones the repo, which clones this repo to your local machine, and you can make the changes to it. So for doing that, we'll go here and copy this link and write a git clone and git clone and paste this link and press enter. So it will clone into this Kickstart open source project. So to enter the project, we'll do cd Kickstart open source, and here all the files are visible. This app.js, index.html, readme.md, and and all the commands which I have used here will be found in contributing.md, and all the guidelines will be mentioned there. So for making change, I will open it in my code editor, which is I am using VS Code. Okay, so is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in this file, there is a comment given. So what you will have to do is copy this part which is a division, and write below these two lines. Okay. So since I have added for mine, I add for one for Prashant. So I'll copy this. And I'll paste here. Okay, so is it? I have pasted, and now here you want to add your name. Your admission number, and your username here, your GitHub username, or else your image will not appear there. And okay, so only this much change you have to do, and then save this file. Okay, so you have now made the changes to the local fork. Okay, so the changes you have made, you can test it by git status. So it says that you have modified the index.html. Now to commit these changes, you need to first create a branch where you can make these changes. Okay, so you make a branch, git branch, and enter your roll number. For Prashant, I use 0 to 6. Okay, so I have made a branch, and now I'll check out to the branch, means I'll change my current branch from main to the branch I've created. So the command for that is git checkout, and branch. So see, the branch name has changed from main to this roll number. Okay. So it has all the changes. So now to add these changes to the repo online, I'll do git add dot, which basically makes this all changes into stages, all these changes, so we can act it on further. So after I perform git add dot, I'll check the status, and the changes are ready to be committed. Before they were unstaged, but now they are ready to be committed. So for commit, I have to do git commit and press enter. So when you press enter, it will open your text editor. By default, it will be, I think it will be your default text editor. So for writing the commit message, you will have to write like add contribution and roll number. And this is a short log, which basically is telling what our commit has done. And now we will add the description of our the code changes we have made. So I'll write edit the so and we at the end we have to also tell that which issues we are closing on this PR. So we have to write closed and paste the PR link, which the issue link which we have created. So I think this is the issue. We have to copy this and paste it here. So the person reviewing your PR can easily get that what issue you are solving. So after you save this, your changes will be committed. So the changes are that you have one file changed and done 15 insertions and one line deleted. Okay. So now to push these changes to your online repo which you have forked, which we will use the command git push, which basically push your commits on your local computer to the repository in the GitHub. So git push origin. So to push the changes of a particular branch, we'll use git push origin and the branch name. So which is your roll number. So once I do this, so it's telling that a new branch is created and all the changes we are pushed to the branches. So we'll check that here. So this is my repo which I have pushed now, and I'll refresh it. And all the branches you have pushed are available here. Okay, so I have created this branch, and I'll check in this branch, and it says that I have pushed it 3 minutes ago in this file. Okay, so I have made for Prashant. You can see here. So now since I have made this change and they are available to my repository, I can now compare and give pull request to the main repository, which is the ACM SVN81. So to compare, basically does that is it what are the changes we have made from the original repository, and it checks that there is not any merge conflict for that. So so this is the short log, which is basically what a short description of our PR and the information about in description, and this is the issue we solve in this PR. Okay, so after creating a pull request. Okay, so this pull request has been is available in the issues, and issue you can see here that there is an open pull request. Okay, so now it's just making some checks that our pull request has all the like any code, there is not any error or there is the testing. It is basically doing some checks, so we have to wait for a while. So after the checks are done, we can the owner of the main repository can merge the pull. So I have passed all the checks. So the owner of the main repository can merge the pull request into their code. So all the changes from my forked repository will come to the main repository. So since okay, since I am the owner of this repository, I'll merge the pull request. Okay. So see, I have merged and it is the main repository, and here it is telling that I have merged, added the file 6 minutes ago, and it also has the Prashant's division. Okay, so basically I have committed changed on my local repo and pushed it onto the ACM's main repo. So this is how you do it, and I think it will be it will appear the name here. So everyone has to, everyone who are interested can do this, and your will accept your pull request, and your cards will appear, your name and roll number cards will appear here.
Yeah, okay, let me complete it. We are doing it because uh, the purpose of this whole assessment is because next month we will be having a Hacktoberfest, right? And Hacktoberfest is something which is conducted by DigitalOcean across the globe, and the purpose of it is to introduce beginners to the open source contribution, and like the whole thing is you contribute, you make 4 successful PRs, and when they are closed, right, when they are merged into the main branch, or whether they are accepted as a part of Hacktoberfest, uh, when that thing happens, after the end of the whole process, right, after the end of October, you get one free t-shirts from you know DigitalOcean, or whichever sponsor they will there will be this year, right? So we want you guys to be contributing to the Hacktoberfest this year, and so to get started, right, there will be a lot of issues, right? Git push, for example, there will be merge conflicts and all. Okay, you might have to be patient before your PR is being merged, and someone else's PR gets merged, and there will be some merge conflict which you will have to be resolve. Okay, so that's why it will be great if you guys can contribute to the organization right now. So we'll share the link of the repository, and you all guys can basically make some changes in that index.html, add a div tag with your name and everything, and it will be fine, right?